Hello and thanks for watching this video. I've made it so that I can explain to parents how tutoring online can work and how tutoring in small groups of children can really support their learning. I want to talk today about maths tuition and what maths tuition would look like with Next Steps tutors. So I'm going to go over to share a presentation, which is a similar kind of presentation that I would share with children as well. So let's start off thinking about the resources that we use. Now in a classroom, I would use a concrete pictorial abstract method to support the children in their learning. So first of all, working with counting materials and maths support materials that they can actually touch. And then moving on, once they've got an understanding of those, then they would move into using pictorial methods to support their understanding. And finally, they would start working at those abstract concepts that we can hold in our heads as well. So on the screen at the moment is a demonstration of the kind of materials that I use, or we use, which are things like multiplication squares. We've got the arrow cards here, we've got Dean's blocks down in the left hand corner, and a couple of the models that we use as well, with the bar model and the whole part model. Now Next Steps actually sends out a resource pack for anybody who's signed up on our maths courses so that your children can have the same materials to use at home. Now we're also aware that we're teaching children coming from many different schools and many different backgrounds and experiences. So we want to support their maths vocabulary learning as well, which gives a really good understanding of the ways in which word problems, where a lot of children struggle, in the way that word problems can be created. So let's have a look at remote learning and how children can be interactive on screen. Now Zoom allows us the ability to give children remote control, limited, but remote control to our computers and our screens. So for example, if we were looking at place value and we wanted children to create a number for us, let's say I asked a child to create the number 231. So using remote control, they could create that number. And then they could also represent it using the Dean's materials down below. So let's get ourselves 200s, and we're going to need 3 10s. There they are. And we're going to need 1 block as well. So there's our number represented in 2 different ways to support the child. Now using Dean's and using the place value chart is absolutely fantastic for any addition, subtraction, multiplication and division work. So all 4 operations really. Now here's an example of how our lessons are differentiated. So we've got a word problem up on the screen there about Amy is buying packets of cakes and biscuits, and she's spent some money, but she's spent £15 altogether. So I've put a bar model up there so that we can work out and start to think about how we might answer that question. So let's start off by underlining the important information here. She spends £15, but we want to know how much did the cakes cost. Okay, so we've got that important information there. Now we can start to unpick exactly how we can use a bar model to represent this word problem. So she's spent £15. I'm going to pop that in the top of my bar model and use the bottom to split that £15 up using what I know. So I know she bought biscuits and cakes, so I'm going to put cakes over here, and I will put biscuits over here. Okay, now I also know she bought 2 packets of biscuits, so those biscuits are going to be split into 2 sections, and this was £1.50 and this is also £1.50. Now by this point, most probably there's some children racing ahead, and for those children who've sent me an answer, and I know they've got their answer correct, I would reveal challenge 1 whilst continuing to work over here on this question here as well. Now, if children couldn't add up £1.50, then we would look at what the formal method of adding up. But for now, we know that we've spent £15 here. The biscuits cost £3, and therefore the cakes cost £12. Now, parents, your parents, I'm not going to go into a deep explanation the way that I would do with children, but of course that would be paced for their learning. And differentiated on screen as well. Now, we like to end our lessons reflectively as well. I'm going to talk about that more in a moment, but first of all, I want to talk about task differentiation. So this is how we work with differentiation. So before a lesson in maths, a worksheet would be sent home, but it would also be on screen too. And an opportunity would come for the children to work on their worksheet within the lesson. Now, some children might want to work independently at home and feel that they've grasped the concept that we've demonstrated, they're ready to move on, and they're going to have a go. And the less confident children can work along with whoever is tutoring them on the screen, not the entire worksheet, but maybe 1, 2 or 3 questions until they feel more confident in how they're working. At which point we pull back to the answers of the worksheet. Those children who've worked at home get to check their answers, and the ones who've worked independently can either continue to work, the ones who've worked with me on screen or with a tutor on screen can then either continue their worksheet or answer a challenge question that would be on the screen for them as well. Now, how can children respond when they are working online, and is it as easy as responding in the classroom? Well, I really hope that I have made this not just as good as the response in the classroom, but even better than the response in the classroom. So I do allow children to annotate on the screen with me if they have the right tech, but not all of the time. So I do give children opportunities where they can write on the screen in front of children, maybe if they want to demonstrate their understanding, or if they want to take a question further. Or like I showed you earlier, there might be opportunities for children in the group to have a go at using remote control and showing their understanding that way. I do ask children to raise their hand. That could be their physical hand, or it could be their hand within Zoom before they want to speak and share. Children are welcome to chat with everyone, as long as that is maths chat and it's keeping within the thoughts of the lesson and the pace of the lesson, then that's fine. And children who are feeling less confident, they get an opportunity to share their answer with me. If they private chat, they can private chat their answers. They can also private chat questions. They can private chat, I'm not understanding this, can you please go more into detail with it? And all those things that could be said now in privacy, which before would have to be a hand up in class. So actually it's fantastic for children who are feeling less confident to work in a group and build their maths knowledge with other children who are happier working at a faster pace as well. So let's look at the end of the lesson. The ends of our lessons are reflective. We might ask a question such as, what was tricky and how did you overcome it? Or what will you explore next? Now, your child will be spending 1 or 2 hours with Next Steps tutors a week. So obviously there's a lot more time on their own. So we want to really develop a growth mindset, that they take the skills that we've given them in the lesson and they go and explore and expand their knowledge and embed their knowledge that we've given them as well. Now, to this end, we've got a number of games on bluekit.com, and you can have a look or message me if you want to find the link for these games. And we're always creating more. As we create our lesson content, we're creating games to go with them as well. I hope that has been a quick run through how Next Steps teaches, and I hope that that's been useful for you. If you do have any questions, get in touch with myself, I'm Sarah, or get in touch with Liz. We are more than happy to support you and create the learning that your child needs. Thank you very much for watching.